What's up, folks? Dan here from BeAGameCharacter.com with Q&A Tuesday. We are here on the 11th of October, and we are going to jump right in, starting off actually with S. Barnier West, my friend Steve, who posted last week just outside the deadline time. So last week's question, if you don't remember, was favorite movies, Western and or anime. So he said, Steve said, I'm back. His favorite movies were Space Jam. It combines both animation and live action together. It had Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. And anime, Paprika by Satoshi Kon. Enough said. I've not seen it, so I'll take your word for it. His questions were, are you excited by the new Pokemon games? I am a little bit. I don't have any current handheld. What are we? It's the 3DS still, right? We're still in the 3DS. Whatever. I don't have a 3DS, so I probably won't be getting them, unfortunately. But my son Lucas actually is getting into Pokemon cards, which is really funny because I still have my old Pokemon cards, and I think I might give them to him, which is cool. Which are your favorite Pokemon, from the new one or from old Pokemon games? My favorite Pokemon. All right, I'm going to go with overall Pokemon favorite Pokemon because I don't know that many from the new ones. Like the newest ones that are coming out. What is it? What's the new one that's coming out? I forget. Is it Sun and Moon? Is that it? Was that one already out? Shit, I feel like I need to turn in my Pokemon fan card right now. Favorite Pokemon would be Charizard, Infernape. I don't know if you're noticing a trend here. I have always liked, for whatever reason, Scyther. Not that Scyther's a strong Pokemon, but I think he's cool. I like Garchomp. Garchomp's pretty badass. And let's see, who's my favorite legendary? I think my favorite legendary would probably still have to be Mewtwo. I'm just going old school here. I'm sorry. If you could be a new Pokemon, what type would you be and what would your attacks be? What type would I be? I would probably be fire and rock, maybe, or fire and ground. And attacks would be flamethrower, earthquake, flare blitz, and what would my last attack be? Rock Edge, maybe? Some rock attack. It would be some sort of rock attack. Magnitude. All right, cool. Thanks for the questions, S. Barnier West. Glad you are back. Glad to have you here. Hope you have more questions for next week. Moving on to this week, which this week's question is, who's your favorite supervillain? Starting off, before we go any further, my favorite supervillain is Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is definitely my favorite supervillain. Let's see what everybody else says. We have, first off, let's order these in proper chronological order. We've got Lando, who doesn't ask a question, just comments that he was watching Samurai Jack and then this video appeared. Awesome. Thanks for stopping by, Lando. Lambo. Next up, we've got Your Name, who says, hello, Dan. My favorite supervillain has got to be Darth Vader. He's just the coolest and has arguably the best storyline in the Star Wars comic books. My questions for you are as follows. How much traditional karate translates into a real-world street fight, and is there anything that has to get altered for it to be practical? Traditional karate, as in like older styles, things that have to get changed. First off, some of karate translates very well. First off, let me tell you this. Martial arts in general gives you an edge in street fighting. It doesn't mean you will win a street fight. There's a lot of adrenaline. There's not much technique. It gets very messy. And karate styles in general have very little focus on groundwork, which is not great for a street fight because most fights end up on the ground in some way, shape, or form. So that's one of the first weaknesses of karate in general, is that most karate does not. Some karate has a little bit in the way of throws and groundwork and stuff, but not really much work on the ground. A little bit throws, and that's generally a big weak spot overall, as the karate has no ground game. Striking-wise, karate can be very good. However, a lot of traditional karate styles emphasize a couple of things that do not help in real-world fights. One is very deep stances. A lot of karate works from very deep stances, and when they spar, usually not so much for those karate styles that spar, but traditional karate stuff has very deep stances, which means that you don't move as quickly as you can, and you can generally you're generally not as mobile as you need to be, and also it's easier to get at your legs. If you've got somebody who does have ground game, a wrestler or a jiu-jitsu guy, something like that, it's very easy to go for one of your two legs when they're spread wide, nice and deep, very strong, whatever. You can do double leg, single leg takedowns, you do any kind of reaping techniques, all kinds of stuff there. So the other thing is an attitude that karate has. The attitude of karate is the overall idea of one punch, one kill. Traditional karate masters all thought of themselves as one punch man, or that was the ideal to work towards. And the reality is, usually street fights are very messy. Usually there's lots of stuff that gets thrown at once, and very often, unless you hit with a very good punch, you will not be one punch man. You will not be one punch, one kill. You need to know how to throw combinations. And not to say that traditional karate does not have combinations, but very often the attitude is, oh, I just do this one technique really hard, and then I win. And the reality is, the street fight guy that wins is the one, or gal, is the one that can take a couple of hits, dish out better hits, and generally have better accuracy overall. Power is very important too, and the other thing that has to be focused on in karate is that karate has the idea that if you have perfect technique, you win, period. But the fact is, in a street fight, usually, not always, but usually, the bigger, stronger person wins. Now, technique does matter. Knowledge does matter, and experience does matter. And I want to say that those don't matter. However, if you have two people that are close to equally skilled, even a little bit close to equally skilled, but one has 50 pounds on the other and can, bench press twice as much or deadlift twice as much or whatever, that person has a huge edge. In fact, if I had to pick between fighting somebody who had, 50 pounds on me and could, lift more than I could, but had no training versus somebody my size who has equal training to me, I would pick the person my size who has equal training to me, because even if the person that's way bigger than me has no training at all, if I screw up once and they get their hands on me once, I am probably done just through brute force alone, and that's just a reality that exists, and there's always random chance involved. So I've gone real into this, and it means it's a great question, so thank you. But I think we're going to move on to the next question. Next question, I always respect that you're a hard worker. I find it inspirational you're still doing this channel, even though you're so busy all the time. For that, I thank you, because you don't have to answer our questions, but do anyway. Well, thanks. I mean, I like doing it. Here's the question. What would you do if you had 10 extra minutes in your day? In this hypothetical, I'd also give you 10 more minutes of sleep, too, because we all need it. Oh, okay, so I get 10 more minutes of sleep, and I get 10 extra minutes. What would I spend those 10 extra minutes? Okay, so that's an extra hour per week. That's about the time it takes me to, you know what I would do is I would spend that time, right now, I would spend that time working on scripts for the Unleash the Ultramind stuff. Because right now, not even just scripts, I just spend it working on Unleash the Ultramind, because Unleash the Ultramind is what's really suffering right now. We've been waiting on poor Steve Jobs for 3 weeks now, 4 weeks, whatever it is. I don't know. I feel bad. It's just that it's just fallen by the wayside. So I would spend those 10 minutes working on Unleash the Ultramind if I had it right now. And in reality, if I got that 10 extra minutes for sleep, what I would do is I would wake up 10 minutes earlier, so then I had 20 minutes every day, because I don't get enough sleep, but I get enough sleep, if that makes sense. I would sleep more if I could, but I still get enough sleep to function and live and be happy and whatnot. So I would take that extra 10 minutes of sleep, and I would wake up earlier, and I would get 20 minutes. So what I would spend it working on Unleash the Ultramind stuff right now, because it's really suffering right now, and I feel bad about it, but I'm having a hard time finding time. So that's what I would do. And once I got a decent buffer built up of Ultramind stuff, I would probably start working on more video content for this channel, which is what I'm trying to carve out time for now as well. So that's it. So have a great week, Dan. Thank you. You have a great week as well. Your name. Those are great questions. I really enjoyed them. Really cool stuff. And thanks for the kind words. Moving on, we have BenRex777 who says, "Hello, Dan. I realized my comments got longer and longer, so I decided to change the structure of my comments first. I will answer your question, then I will ask you a question, and after that, I write the comment to your video. Last part you don't have to read in your Q&A. That's to shorten the comment to an acceptable length. Does that work for you? It works just fine for me. Thank you, Benny, for being so diplomatic about it." Favorite supervillain? I don't really know. Supervillains are often made in a way that you don't like them that much, and I don't like people who deliberately harm people, but in that way, most heroes are villains in a way. Sorry, no one comes to mind. Yeah, my idea is just you can't have a great hero with also having a good villain to go with him. You need that antagonist. Otherwise, you don't have a story. If you don't have conflict, you don't have a story. So it's part of the reason why I like Doctor Doom so much is that he is absolutely ruthless and a bad guy and supervillain or whatever, but he also has a very reasoned intentions. It's not like he's some crazy guy just causing mayhem because he wants to. Always has very reasoned intentions and very intentional plans and stuff like that. And I don't know. I really enjoyed Doctor Doom. So, and then to be fair, Benny did comment later on, said, "I just remembered a cool supervillain, Kaguro of the anime Kakaishi. I have not seen that anime, but I'll take your word for it." Question for you. Under which circumstances would you consider turning against the world and being a supervillain yourself? With supervillain, I don't mean a villain who has superpowers, but a villain who does major damage to society. Oh, God. I can't even think of anything that would make me do that. Major damage to society on a whole, no. If anything, I would be very Machiavellian, ends justify the means kind of guy. Probably along the lines of, surgically removing people from power and inserting other people into power that I would see through my own judgment as better, but very often that sort of thing backfires on people anyway. I mean, so if anything, it would be that. I'd be a very Machiavellian superheroes and this is the end goal that I want to accomplish, and I will do all of these things up to and including all this bad stuff in order to make this what I perceive as the beneficial end goal, the actual end goal that I, achieve. So just very much, if I were to go supervillain, it would be very much a ends justify the means kind of guy. I don't care. I would be the kind of supervillain that's I'm going to save the human race. I don't care if 10,000 people have to die on the way there. That would probably be the kind of bad guy that I would be if I were to turn against the world and become a supervillain. But I don't see that ever happening. So I just like people too much. Excellent questions. Benny says, "Have a nice week." Thank you as well, and you have a nice week too. Moving on, we have Storyman09. What's up, Storyman09? Storyman09 says, "Hello, Dan. My favorite supervillains tend to be the manipulative, super intelligent, almost charismatic kind. So if we're talking comics, then someone like Lex Luthor, Ra's al Ghul, maybe Loki, Magneto. Nice. Ganondorf/Ganon is a good one for talking video games, as well as Akuma, although the Akuma is entirely due to his massive strength and power." Yeah, Akuma's really, he's obviously not a good person, but he's almost just a force of nature, even more than just being motivated. He's not motivated by money or whatever. He's just yo, I want to be the strongest thing that exists, and I want to smash everything that stands in my way because I'm all about, being destruction incarnate. My question for you is about boxing. What do you think of it? Is it purely a sport, or could it be trained as an effective real-life martial art if one had the will and know how to do so? Boxing is awesome. Boxing is really good. Boxing is a really, really good striking art to learn. For self-defense and for sport, because the thing is that boxing incorporates real live practice sparring and full contact competition bouts. And if you watch boxers in street fights, as long as the fight doesn't go to the ground, they dominate. Boxing is really, really good. I want to try boxing someday. I want to do boxing. The only thing is that again, the lack of ability to kick, I think, would throw me. Maybe kickboxing is my thing, but boxing is really, really good. Anybody that's looking to get into a very good martial art for self-defense, conditioning, whatever, cannot recommend boxing highly enough. And I'm saying that as a karate guy. When Bruce Lee wanted to learn how to, not Bruce Lee's karate, but when Bruce Lee wanted to learn how to punch hard, he went and studied boxers. That's it. Not purely a sport, definitely a real life martial art, 100%. Where's the line between combat sport and real life martial art? You know what? Combat sports are martial arts. In the real life idea, I assume when you mean real life martial art, you mean like self defense applicability. In fact, I think the stuff that makes martial arts, like you have to remember that second word there, martial and art. So you have war and then art. The stuff that makes traditional martial arts, the art aspect of that, is also what makes them not as good at the self-defense stuff. Kata, forms, fancy schmancy stuff like that, definitely part of martial arts as a whole. I love kata. I love forms. I think they're very important. You learn a lot of things from them. However, a lot of the stuff in kata and forms are not applicable in a street fight scenario as they are like straight up if you perform them textbook. A lot of them can be adapted, which I do all the time when I'm teaching any kind of self-defense stuff. But when I'm teaching self-defense to my kids and adults in my dojo, I'm like, okay, here's self-defense, all right? Guy grabs onto you, like, a mean person grabs your collar or shoves you or whatever. Step one, hit them really hard in the face. Like, don't do twist, turn, pull, twisty, locky, blah, 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 blah. If someone is doing harm to you or planning on doing harm to you, step one is hit them really hard in the face. And that is where combat sports become incredibly effective for self-defense. Because if you're in a combat sport, yes, there are some rules that govern you. You can't eye gouge, you're not, there's no kicks to the balls or whatever and all that stuff. But there is a lot of combat applicability in combat sports. And for the most part, all of the crap gets burned away. Like, Boss Rutan has a great clip where he's talking about how some ninjutsu people came into his gym, and they were talking about, oh, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this, they're like, and he's like trying to show an escape from like a rear naked choke, I believe it was. And the lady he was working with was like, oh, well, we have moves for that too. And he's like, okay, well, show me. She's like, all right, so you put me in the chokehold. He's like, all right. And she's like, and then, then I'm going to stick my thumbs in your eyes. And then I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. I'm going to twist and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. He's like, so here's the deal. He's like, you signed the waiver. We're going to go in on this. All right. We're both going to do our techniques as hard as we can. Okay. But when you stick your thumbs in my eyes, I'm going to break your neck. And Boss Rutan, if you've seen his arms and biceps, yes, I believe he could totally do that. He's like, so he's got this lady. He's like, okay, so when you stick your thumbs in my eyes, I'm going to break your neck, and then I'm going to go and hold my eyes and complain about how much it hurts. And the lady's like, wait, what? You what? The majority of the time, fancy schmancy moves that you see in traditional martial arts do not work in a practical situation without some sort of modification, which is what the UFC kind of demonstrated in a lot of ways by burning all of the ceremonial stuff away and all of the show stuff away. It's like, listen, these are the moves that work in combat, and these are the moves that don't work in combat. So that's the thing with martial arts. The art aspect is really important. I believe very strongly in preserving that. I think there are some martial arts out there that, without massive modification, are completely useless as a self-defense, but that does not mean that they are useless as a martial art. But the combat sports, if I had to pick between somebody who was doing traditional karate for 2 years and when I say doing it, I mean going to classes at least twice a week. So if I had to pick somebody that was spending 2 nights a week at a karate dojo or 2 nights a week at an MMA gym, and they've been doing it for 2 years each, assuming everything else being equal, size, strength, conditioning, abilities, age, whatever, assuming everything else is equal, the only difference is traditional karate for 2 years or mixed martial arts for 2 years, and then said, okay, I had to pick which one I was going to guess would win a street fight, I would honestly pick the MMA guy. Now, there's a caveat there. If the person that is doing traditional martial arts, if we touch up with both of them, say, 6 to 8 years later, and this is assuming that the martial arts school the guy is going to is not a McDojo, the traditional guy or gal. If we step back in with them, I think 6 or 8 years later, I believe that the traditional martial arts person would be at the same place as the MMA person. if not a little bit further, due to having a wider offering of techniques offered to them. Whereas MMA, you typically work very similar combos. You're mostly about forming, you're in camps to try and counter a specific opponent. So if I had to pick somebody after 2 years, I would go with the MMA person. If I had to pick somebody after 8 years, I would probably go with the traditional martial arts person. Assuming their school is of a high status. At the very least, I think they'd be on equal footing. But MMA is a much better quick study for how to hurt somebody else and not get hurt yourself in a live combat situation. So it was really involved. Lots of really involved martial arts conversations today. So that's where it's at. I think the art aspect is the line between combat sport and martial art. And I think that art aspect does hold back the martial artist for at least the first couple of years of their development. A little bit, as in terms of just surviving a fight alone or winning a fight alone. So that's the line. Just a question I've been thinking on lately. Good questions. Very good questions. And I think a very difficult question that the martial arts world on the whole is asking itself right now. Thanks for another week of Q&A. I really liked seeing your judo tournament footage. Awesome. And I wish you luck in advancing in judo as well as continuing success with going superhuman. We'll check out tomorrow's episode. I will be talking about updating my workout schedule to fit my goals in judo. So, cool. Have a great week. You too as well. Thanks for your questions. Excellent questions. That is it for today's episode. But don't go yet. I've got a really cool announcement. Boss Battles, the next ebook that's coming out from Be a Game Character, the expansion pack, as it were, for RPG Fitness. And it does not have to be an expansion pack. If you haven't purchased RPG Fitness and you just want to get Boss Battles, that's fine. But Boss Battles has experience point values and archetype assignments. So if you are on the RPG Fitness system, it fits very well into that. If you are not on the RPG Fitness system, all Boss Battles is 30 badass workouts, no matter what your workout style is, whether you're lifting weights, doing body weight, whatever, and anything like that. It's on sale in early access mode right now, which means that basically if you go and order right now, you're going to get the full book, but not that attractive. It's not properly formatted yet, does not have a cover yet. It does have a cover, but it's an ugly text-only cover that I made myself rather than the really badass, I can't wait till you see this cover, the really badass cover that our resident artist, Alex, is working on right now. But this is early access mode. It's $14.99. You get 30 workouts for $14.99, and you get all the workouts that are not quite formatted yet, but the workouts there, the information's there, and really awesome workouts. They're really designed to just tax the crap out of you. So go ahead. I'm going to throw the link down in the description below. You can go grab that right now, and then once you get that, as soon as the final version comes out, that will be emailed to you immediately as soon as it's done. So you get the rough beta access version right now, and then you'll get the really nice finished version when it comes out, probably in, I would guess, like 2 weeks or so. I don't know. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. As always, remember, live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Wait. One more thing. Next week's question. I almost did this last week, too. I keep forgetting to ask you guys the question of the day. Next week's question is, what is your favorite style of exercise, if you had to pick one? Like, are you just a go out and play sports type person? Do you like body weight exercise more? Do you like weightlifting more? I know Benny's going to come in and say that Benny doesn't really do that much exercise in general as far as general workouts. But Benny, I think you played a sport or something. I forgot. But generally, what is your favorite? Like, do you like lifting weights? Do you like running? Do you like body weight stuff? Do you prefer strength training or cardiovascular training? Do you just do martial arts? Do you just do sports? Tell me what you do. Tell me what your favorite method of working out is, and I will tell you mine. So thank you for watching. As always, remember, live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Bye-bye.